Well, in a last-minute rebound, the S&P 500 and the Dow closed at new records Thursday. But 30 years ago, it was a starkly different story. It was one of the worst stock market crashes in history.
Absolute nightmare. People are getting killed.
In an almost unbelievable wave of panicky selling, the Dow Jones Industrial Average today plunged. A record, more than 500 points down, in by far the busiest session in Wall Street history. The extraordinary, if restrained, action taken in the Persian Gulf early this morning was overshadowed through the day by scenes such as Wall Street has never witnessed, as the Dow Jones Industrials took off on a fear-fed free-fall to close down a record 508.32 points. Panicked traders worked through lunch hours in a desperate but losing attempt to keep up with tickers that rolled up an all-time high volume.
Peter Tuchman is a veteran trader who now works at Quattro Securities. Peter, take us back. What was that day like?
You know, I'd been on the stock exchange for 2 years. I was 27 years old. I was a retail clerk for Cowan & Company. I was working right under the podium where the bell is. Things were a lot different then. We did everything on paper, right? It was open outcry. There were no computers, no handheld computers on the floor. And we had, the only thing that we had was, I was sitting in front of a pool of telephones that were ringing off the hook. We had what was called a dot machine, where orders were being, they would normally come one at a time, you know, to spout out orders to sell or buy 100 shares, 500 shares, 1,000 shares. And basically from the get-go, from the bell, from the opening bell, we started just getting, you could feel some fear in the air, and you started getting orders quite quickly. The phone started ringing off the hook. You know, there were, and just orders started spouting out, and markets started dropping. You know, I mean, it didn't happen right out of the gate, but you know, stocks were, there was huge for sale right out of the gate, and machines started just spitting orders out, and phones started ringing, and it was amazing. You know, we had way many more people on the floor than we do today, right? It's been a lot of consolidation, a lot of mergers. You know, there were 1,600 brokers. There were probably about 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 employees around the floor. It was a different place than it is today, but it was unbelievable.
It's hard to imagine, because now we saw this week the Dow passing the 23,000 mark. January, it went over 20,000. Do you think, though, that the markets might see a correction sometime soon?
You know what, I've been talking about this a lot lately, because we've seen this market over the last 9 months go up almost 5,000 points. But it's happened in a rather orderly way. We've also seen over the last 9 months many opportunities for this market to be anxious, whether it's North Korea, whether the new administration.
We haven't seen those anxieties, though.
Well, the anxieties do exist, and we see it and we feel it and their potential, but the market doesn't seem to be engaging them at all. Okay, and that's something worth talking about, because it feels like, you know, the gradual rise of the market, gradual. It's over 9 months, we're seeing 5,000. So it depends on your interpretation.
So what would you say, Peter? What would you attribute to this growth in the market of doing so well? Is it President Trump?
You know what, it's hard to really say. I mean, I think a lot of the agenda that he proposed, that he came in with, the pro-growth policies, rebuilding America, tax reform, are things that the market, you know, regulations, repatriation of funds, corporate funds and taxes, are things that the financial institutions, the banks, really look forward to. We don't have any of that on the table, although as I was watching here with you, Mnuchin just did say that he does offer a guarantee that tax reform will be signed by the end of the year. That's really what's fueling the market, besides low interest rates, corporate growth, good earnings. Now,
Mnuchin might offer that guarantee, but the reality, if tax cuts don't come, what is it going to be horrible for the markets? Are we
there's a part of me that does not think that this is all just some big bubble about tax reform.
You don't buy that. You don't buy that.
No, I don't really buy it. I mean, the market, you know, I'm there every day. I'm trading every day. I'm seeing a lot of fresh money come into the market. And I really believe that there's still people who have been on the sidelines. You know, we've had intraday headlines that have caused some anxiety in the market. You'll see it go down 2 or 3 points. We saw the market go, you know, they proposed that if Trump were to be elected, the market would go down 1,000 points. Overnight, it did go down 900. By the time we came in the morning, the market was positive. We saw, you know, Brexit, it went down 1,000. By the end of that day, we were already up. We've seen North Korea news come out intraday that caused the market to sort of, you know, feel fragile and a little bit broken, and it went down 300 or 400 points. But every time we've seen that, there's been no follow through. and the market's rallied. You know, this is real money. These are real numbers. People sort of say, well, sort of poo-poo it in a way that, what, it's another 1,000. It's 1,000 points more than 22,000. It's 5,000 points more than it was in January. Those are real numbers, real valuations. IBM was up $10 yesterday. Things are up for a reason. Apple, Facebook are up all-time highs. All the indices are at all-time highs. So there feels like that it's happening that there's a foundation to it. It doesn't feel bubblish to me. I'm not an economist, so I'm not here to predict what's going to happen. Could it happen? Yes, but it doesn't feel like it.
You're not an economist, but you were at a very important place in time, as you talked about. I want to show you a photo, actually. It's maybe the most photographed person on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Look at that. There you are. There you are. Why does the camera love you so much?
You know what? Look, those pictures make me laugh. You know what? I mean, I have this persona. They call me Einstein. It's a look I have. Yeah. I have I'm a sort of loud, boisterous guy. I have a lot of personality in my face. I could be the up 500, down 500 guy, right? All in one person. Yep. And you know what? And I've been a personality there for a long time. The first shot you showed was actually, I think, during the crash of the 07 financial crisis. Yep. I'm not clear, you know, that, you know what? It's an amazing place to work. It's the greatest job in the world. I love it. And you know what? It's all about the feeling and the personality down there.
And
so.
do you keep these hats like on ready? Just
well,
whenever.
You know what? That one I made specially for you. Okay, so that's 30,000. That's very optimistic, right?
It is very optimistic.
We have the almost 30,000 hat, which may be coming out soon.
Almost.
But you know what?
We got to put almost.
You know, the floor of the stock exchange. One of the greatest parts of it is the human factor that we've maintained. There are markets all over the world. They're all electronic. There are markets all over the United States that are electronic. The only place where you really have the human factor is here at the NYSE. And that's why this has been I don't consider it a job. It's somewhere I go every day for 32 years. It's the greatest place in the world.
And you're clearly passionate about the markets.
Oh, absolutely.
Peter Tuchman, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.